All right, welcome to the Get Optimized podcast. This is Chris, your host, and today I am very excited. This is an episode I've been looking forward to a lot because it's a special episode. We're going to have a brewery on the show, and it's a brewery that I have really grown to love. They've developed a super rad brand concept and have a really neat taproom situation that I'm excited to dive into. When I met these guys at CBC this year, I instantly knew that I wanted to have them on the show to talk all about this stuff. We're joined by Jacob and Jason from Wandering Monsters Brew and Barbecue in Cincinnati, Ohio. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on the show, man.
Dude, I know. And you guys like are listeners too. I know Jacob became like, I listen to the podcast, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? And I got a fan over here. So it's been awesome to make this happen. And it's always cool to hear from somebody and talk to somebody who listens. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was a pleasure to meet you. Out of every person we could have met while we were at what was the brewery name, Jason? I can't remember. We were drinking, but it was great to meet you. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was at Upland.
Upland, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, your show's great. I love the conversations you have with people, and I think it's this is a fun one to have, and I'm always down to talk about marketing. And that was quite an introduction from you, and I don't know how to really follow that up. So I'll let you keep talking nice things about us.
Oh man, you guys are dope, and I'm excited to share your guys' story and all these things with everyone on the show. Maybe let's start there. Tell us a little bit about you guys. Tell us a little bit about the brewery, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So my name's Jason Brewer. I didn't change it. That's the name that I was born with. I've been in the industry for about 15 years at this point. I started off at another local brewery in Cincinnati, worked there for about 10 years, and ownership and I didn't really see growth path the same. So we parted ways, and I was searching around for a bit to find my own spot. Worked at a beer bar in between, and Anderson Township in Cincinnati. It's about 20 minutes east of downtown. Is where I call home. It's where I went to high school. It's where I live 9 minutes from the brewery, and there's a lot of fun stuff to do out here, but there's not a lot and it's a lot of families, big suburb out here. There's not a lot of stuff for kids to do. There's a lot of stuff for adults to do. There's not really a lot of stuff for adults and kids to do. And so I'm looking at what my next steps are. I have a 3-year-old at home, another one on the way, and it's like, how do I build a space where they get as much enjoyment out of it as I do, in a place that I think a lot of families would want to come and let their kids be kids. We're not a lot of breweries or bars will say no kids allowed, or your kids have to be like on the strictest behaviors. We probably give a little bit too much of a leash here, but that's a conversation for another day. But so I wanted to build a really family friendly environment, and I've been in the brewing world, so a brewery was very important to me to have. And Anderson had a couple, but none that were really making the styles of beers that I like to drink. I'm a hashtag Haze boy. So was looking for spaces and came across this end cap on a strip mall in the very center of the busiest street in the city. And it kind of went from there. And we combined two spaces together, and it only took us about 4 months once we were ready to go to get up and rolling. And we started construction in February, and we were open in July. And we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary a couple weeks ago.
Nice. I didn't realize you guys were that new. 2 years into it. That's fantastic. Congratulations on making it this far.
Thanks. Yeah, it's like I'm a big believer in the Dave Matthews method of running a business, and that's if you can be the worst person on your team, then you're doing a pretty good job. And we have excellent team members at every level of the business. That makes my job a lot easier than it is.
Love it. I'm gonna quote you on that. I like it.
Yeah.
Jacob, what about you, man? What's your story? How'd you get into the Wandering Monsters and into this brewery, into this industry? Oh, we might have lost Jacob for a second. Let's see if he gets back. There he is.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's been cutting in and out on my part.
All good, man. What about let's dish it over to you for your story. How'd you get into Wandering Monsters and into the beer
Yeah,
industry, really?
yes. So I kind of grew a affinity towards the craft beer scene, especially in my early college days. We'll put it. I would be able to go to a party, and if I took a case of beer with me, it'd be gone in an hour. Whereas if I took a case of IPAs with me, those were mine. No one was touching those. And so that kind of opened the door for everything in the craft beer scene for me, and kind of opened my palate for all trying different styles, trying different things. Um, I ended up graduating from Morehead State University in the winter of 2022. With a degree in convergent media and then a minor in social media. And upon graduating, I moved back to Cincinnati, my home city, and I went to a brewery called Streetside Brewery, and I was doing their marketing there for just shy of 2 years. And then upon leaving there, I'm now at Wandering Monsters.
And the rest is history. Uh,
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like it. And you guys, have really developed a really fun brand. And that's really where I want to kind of start with things is, you have this really neat monster icon mascot thing. And tell me about that. So where did this come from? And what do you guys love about it? Because this thing is, if you haven't checked it out, you got to go look at their icon and their mascot. They do a great job with it. But where did this thing come from?
Yeah, so we work with a graphic designer. His name's Tommy Long and Allison at Lemon Grenade Creative, and I've been working with them since like for 15 years. Past brewery, I think I was one of their first clients that he when he left his firm to start his own. So he's been great. He's been with us every step of the way at my past job and this job, and it's there's a lot of clutter. I don't think it's like clutter, but there's tons of breweries out there, right? So it's very important to me to make a unique and fun brand in order to stand out, because there's literally 10,000 other ones that are clamoring for people's attention. So when we were starting, the name kind of comes from two different things. It comes from life's journey and the monsters you meet along the way. And it also comes from like our kids and the curious little monsters that they are. So, having a monster like in the brand was very important. So if you look at our logo, it makes a W and an M, and that was very important to me to have a W and an M in the hop mark, so to speak. So
Cool.
that kind of, Tommy, we met at a bar and he kind of free drew it on a napkin, and then 2 days later it looked like that. The only difference was that the horns were purple, and we were like, that looks a little too much like Disney. So we made them orange and went from there. And then
No,
the
it's
hobo was just, we're wandering, we're born to wander. And so the hobo just kind of came from that whole, mystique of the brand. And they drew up a couple, but the second I laid my eyes on that teal guy, I was like, that's going to be us. It's fun. It's kind of, it's not so much unique that it is like, it's so universal. It's so, people see it, know what it is, and it's also it's so adaptable to different things. It's unisex. It's also it's everything and nothing all at once, and it's just we can make it as extravagant or as minimalistic as we wanted to, and depending on where we want to take it for that particular beer, or shirt or event sort of thing. So
yeah.
it's just kind of went from there.
Yeah, and it's so cool to hear the story behind some of the logos and things like that when you talk to brands, and it's like, oh, there was a story, we wanted to have the kids involved, we wanted to have the W and the M, and then all these things behind it. It's like, man, it's cool that this vision became something actualized and fun and interesting. But with the mascot, there's sometimes a little bit of risk, although it can be a powerful branding tool. It's you got to ensure that this thing is relevant and engaging, especially when you've got like different merchandise, different products, different beer. How do you guys do that? I mean, is there a process behind um theming it and keeping it seasonally relevant?
Yeah, so we were trying to, I was like, I wasn't sure if he was the guy, I thought he was, but I showed it to somebody and they said he was cute. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want something cute to be our brand. But I was like, I was just like, you know what? It still looks good, whether it's cute or not, it's fine. And then it's kind of just like the cuteness is what like makes it so appealable to everybody, especially if you're looking at I'm sure more women think things are cute than men, and we're looking at buying power and who's doing most of the buying. So having it be more appealing to women turned out to be something that was worked out well in our favor for our merch, and that sort of stuff. And so, it's also just keeping it kind of relevant to our consumer group. We're in the suburbs. We're 30 to 45, 50 age range, mostly millennials. It just so happens to be where I fall. So it's kind of just like finding things that are nostalgic or pertinent to me or head brewer. Kind of like our group of partners here, and it mostly seems to work. We haven't really seen something that just kind of hasn't, just because I think we're so in tune with who our target market is and where our location is. Now, if we move to a different part of town, to a different city, maybe that doesn't carry over. But at this point in time, we're just locking into where we are and who we're dealing with now.
And Jacob, you kind of run social media, you're on content, marketing, those kind of things. How do you, you got to have fun with this thing, but like, how are you keeping it on brand, but then also relevant to like, Oktoberfest and, winter season and all these things and having fun with it and without losing the brand essence of it? I mean, what's your sauce behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when it comes to beer releases in general, we want to showcase the product because we know we make a good product, but we can also have fun with that. So, I would use our gums release as the most recent example of a beer release that kind of coincided with merch, glassware, so on and so forth, but also hitting pop culture, hitting our demographics, hitting our consumer base. It was the 50th Jaws anniversary. So we wanted to hit on that. We wanted to hit on Shark Week. And so we had the idea to brew this hazy IPA with 75 pounds of gummy sharks. And then we just took it from there. So with the posting and all that stuff, I was like, pictures are going to do it justice. And that's when I joined the team, that was kind of my baseline was as long as we have high quality photography, then everything else will be fine. As long as the photography is good, people will show up. And since I've been here, I'd say that's been an effective method of how I've been doing our socials. But of course, when you can have fun with stuff, and so instead of the Jaws poster is a girl swimming and the sharks coming up, we put Jason swimming instead of the girl because Jason is kind of the face of the company and definitely has become, for lack of a better word, a character within the brand of one of the people here behind the scenes. And so you throw his face on something, and man, does it kill! So.
Nice.
It wasn't my suggestion, but I certainly didn't fight it.
Nice. You weren't afraid to take the spotlight on there. I love it. Another post I can think of you guys is like you have like the monster guy. I can't remember if it's the monster or the hobo version of this, but he's like on like a train with like the bear. It's like made of barrels. And
Yeah.
I thought it was so cute and interesting and fun and kind of funny and also tying into the product. Do you find that like because you have the mascot and that brand, sometimes it's easier to tie these kind of content pieces into the brand?
Oh, absolutely. So once I took over, I use a lot of Adobe software, and everything I do is a lot of creatives do in our field. But as soon as I saw kind of our graphics, I'm like, man, we could make some fun little motion graphics with these, and especially in today's market, like people aren't paying attention longer than 10 seconds, and that's kudos to the original Vine, and then kudos now to TikTok keeping everyone's attention span short. So if I can throw something together where it's movement, it's topical, and it's still engaging and showing it's drawing interest from our consumer base, then I'm always going to lean towards a motion graphic, and especially one that's less than 15 seconds long because we want people to watch the whole video.
So with the mascot, awesome branding tool, but there's a little bit of risk with a mascot, and being too one-sided, having trouble making this thing seasonally relevant and always something new. With Jacob, you manage the content. You're always producing new things. How do you make sure that mascot and the branding and the icon are still relevant to new seasons and everything new going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest blessing that I have when I came in was that our mascot is infinitely editable, and that would be the way I describe that. Is he's a human character, quote unquote. He's got arms and legs. So as long as what we're trying to do to stay relevant, and a good example would be around Christmas time, we did monsters that were dressed like the wet bandits from Home Alone. We did a monster that was dressed like Cousin Eddie. We did for St. Patty's Day, we did the Shamrock Monsters. We obviously have our Bossy Monster. We had our first Pride event here that was called Flamingo with Neighbors, and we decked him out like a flamingo. And that's kind of the joy and the ease of having this mascot, is that as long as we can keep it relevant, especially with what we're doing, he's infinitely
See if he connects back here. Jacob, another question I have is like, do you find it easier, and maybe Jason, you can answer this too. Do you guys find it easier to be relevant, and on brand at the same time because you have the mascot?
Because we can just adapt it to whatever holiday or season that we're in. It makes, we don't have to think of a new campaign for something. We don't have to think of something new. It's just like this guy, and because this guy is just in every season, he becomes more and more recognizable with our guests. The last place that I was at, it was very like low budget, not a lot of buy-in from ownership on marketing, thinking marketing was dumb. I have a master's degree in marketing, so that was tough to swallow and figure out. But what I figured out was, it's just like everyone wants to figure out like how to break out of the box, when really the box can be such a great source of creativity by staying within the box, forcing yourself. But for whatever reason, you're forced to be within a box. We're choosing to stay in the box, right? But being forced to stay in the box really helped me grow and learn how to do those sort of things while not making things too overly complicated, so to speak. Just keeping
I
it
think you're
simple,
right on the money with that. There's like, I've seen these presentations and read, I don't know, articles and things like that say that when you give yourself limits, it actually inspires more creativity. And think of like Twitter or X or whatever it is now, and the character limit on those posts. That was like very revolutionary when that happened. And some people liked it, some people hated it, but like, you can't deny that people have made tons of creative things with the character limit on that platform. And that's just one example of many of ways that you can come up with really cool things by limiting yourself or putting boundaries around something. It's kind of like counterintuitive to think that way, but it ends up being really fun. Other question I have for you on this topic, and then we'll move on to something else, is advice that you might have if somebody's thinking, man, we should make a mascot, and do something like that with our brand. Do you have any advice for that person in exploring that?
Yeah, one I would say is hire Lemon Grenade Creative. They'll take your idea and run with it. I don't work for them. I'm not getting any kickbacks. That's just how great they are. But I think it's just like, find what makes your brand. Find what you're about and what you want to be about, and then don't stop looking for it until you find it. But also make it approachable. Like, don't have it be like some death metal, someone like slaying somebody else. Like, that's going to appeal to like 3 dudes, and then you'll sell a lot of merch to those 3 dudes or whatever. But that's about it. I was also with the Ohio Craft Brewers Association. I was just like, we need to have a mascot for this, because they're looking to sell merch and that's a big way for them to get stuff out there with merch sales. Everyone really, merch sales is like free advertising, and I was like, we need to have some kind of mascot to move stuff. And they made Buzz Aldrin is from Ohio, so they made like an Ohio mascot with an astronaut drinking a beer sort of thing, and now they sell ridiculous amounts of merch. So it's just finding what works for you and making it relatable to people that are looking at your stuff is big.
Well, it's a perfect segue, because that was the next thing I wanted to talk about, was the merch. Because you guys have super fun merch, and from what you've told me, you do very well with your merch sales. well. And Jason, this or Jacob, this is like you got two J's on here. I'm getting all kinds of crazy. But Jacob, the question for you is you know, how do you guys, what's your secret behind the merch? Because you guys design super fun stuff. And from what you guys have told me, it moves pretty well. So what's kind of the background there? What do you guys do to make merch that's desirable for people? And yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, having a print shop background, that's what I was doing before I was in the beer industry. I learned, how to make shirts that people want, and when you translate that into the beer industry here, is that you want to make stuff that people want to wear. You can have your plain Jane branded shirts, which are always going to sell, and those are going to sell to people who want those shirts. But also, you've got a younger demographic, your Gen Zers, who might not even like beer. If they see a shirt they like, they're going to spend the money on it. And then same thing with your older generations. So finding a good balance in between those two, making shirts that are desirable, that people want to wear, is a huge thing in terms of how I approach the designs of our merch. And so most recently, of course, we did our gum shirt, but before that, we did a vintage NASCAR feel shirt for our 2-year anniversary. And I've only got like 5 more shirts left. Those things moved. And I was seeing some of our younger people would come in with their kids and the kids would want the shirt. And that's where if you make something that's desirable that people want to wear, it's going to sell. And, in today's market, the price point doesn't really matter as long as it's a good quality product, a good design. They're going to come in and they're going to buy it when they walk out the door.
Yeah, this is actually a question I wanted to ask somebody for a while, and because I have my opinions on it, but the quality of the material, I see some of these shirts. Sometimes I'll walk up and I'll like feel it, and it's just like this super cotton thick shirt. I'm like, man, it's a cool design, but like I'm not wearing that thick screen print thing. What's your opinion on that?
So I personally prefer screen print. I think a screen print's going to last longer, and the screen shop that we usually uses a water-based ink, so it doesn't come across as thick on our shirts, which this is one of those shirts. You can't even feel that the print's there. It just feels like it's the shirt right there, in comparison to your typical screen printing shirt where you can feel the print on the shirt.
Yeah.
I think that's down to the water-based ink, but also it comes down to blanks that you're using as well. We've been really good with either using District Apparel or Comfort Color shirts, and either one of those two, like I prefer Comfort Colors, but there is a place for District and Bella Canvas and all the thinner shirts, that people love. But without a doubt, I think it does come down to, knowing who you're working with and then knowing what output they're giving you. Because if I got a shirt that I could feel when I'm wearing it, if I could feel the ink on front of the shirt, I'm probably not going to wear it. And so a lot of our merch out there is all water-based ink. It's smooth. You can hardly tell it's there, but it's still screen printed. So it's going to last. You can wash it, dry it 1,000 times. It's still going to be there.
So you say it's worth the money to spend an extra couple of bucks per unit for the better base, the higher quality, more comfortable
you
shirt.
Just pass it on to the customer. They're going to spend the same shirt they want to buy for 25, they'll buy for 30, and they'll be overall more happy and probably come back and buy another one they like from you because they like the material and the finish of the shirt so much better. And I think another thing on this shirt, another thing on this topic about merch is like, don't be afraid to sell it. I always make a joke like, I will sell you the shirt that I have right now. If you want it, there's a price for it and you can have it. So it's just, I was on a Facebook conversation with someone in a beer group, and they were talking about stickers and how they don't sell their stickers and they just give away. They're in a tourist town, so people will come in and just want stickers, and he just gives them away. And I was looking at art like that's literally thousands of dollars off the bottom line that you are just giving away because you don't think people will buy it. Like you don't know until you try. And especially if you're in a tourist town, like people are gonna want to buy a sticker because they'll be like, "Oh, this is the brewery I was at when I passed through so and so." So
totally agree with you.
Like to be the fun stickers. Those are the ones that are just buying because you are in a tourist town.
Totally. And like if you're already buying a beer, what's another, even if you're selling them for 50 cents, a dollar, whatever it is, throw that onto the bill. Cool. Thanks. Got it. I always love the free sticker, but every time I pick one up, I'm like, man, this is 75 cents, 50 cents a unit that you're just dumping. I thank you, but like, especially the cool ones. There's so many cool things you can do with stickers, and people collect them, and why not
And
sell?
it's not as valuable to somebody if you give it to them versus them buying it. They might just toss it if you give it to them, but if they buy it, they're going to put it in a place that they want to look at it. So it was the whole thing. I looked at our sticker numbers. I was like, man, if we gave this away, that'd be bad.
Does it pump you up when you see someone that posted a sticker somewhere, has got your shirt on around the city? You're like, oh yeah,
yeah,
big time.
I'm wearing a full outfit today with this is the top and
bottom.
The
matching shirt and shorts.
Yeah, and someone I sent a picture from a concert on Wednesday with somebody wearing the same outfit. So somebody I didn't recognize. So I was like, that's really freaking cool.
Honestly, that outfit right there is like a festival outfit, dude. It's like the right color. It looks like it's comfortable. It's perfect.
And I would agree with everything that Jacob said, but I obviously have the luxury of being the owner of the business. So I'm like, I want this, so I'm buying it. And if nobody else does, that's fine. But luckily we've been able to sell. Like, we're definitely in the black on the amount of top. Well, we sell them as individuals or together. But people have really taken it's a great fabric too. It's custom made fabric, so it's $100 for the whole thing, but it's worth it.
Excellent. And like I said, man, you guys got some cool, fun stuff. I need to go on and buy some stuff from there because it's rad. Do you guys ship, or are you guys only selling at pickup in the tap room?
Yeah, we have a full merch store online. I'm the one who takes care of all of that. So if you place an order, my hands will be the one packing it up and sending it out to you.
Free shipping over $70.
There we go. That's the owner of the business right there, being like, yeah, selling the merch, dude. I like it.
Always.
There's something, Andrew over at Secret Hopper and, the group that he's part of over there. I always quote him on this when I'm talking to clients and stuff. They have a stat about if you just ask people to buy something to go, then your likelihood of selling that to go is like massively increased. And it has to be the same with merch. It's like, if you just ask people, like, hey, do you want a shirt? Do you want a sticker? We got this really cool thing over here, blah, 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 blah. Then like, dude, you're going to sell more merch, right?
And we, I think that's something we actually struggle with, and we still do a good job. Well, because we took a little corner, it's almost like a centerpiece of the back wall of our brewery, and made, after CBC, I was like, I like the way that this booth looks. We kind of made like a CBC-esque booth for merch. So we have, and that way people are able to feel all the shirts. We have all the sizes out, so they don't need to bother a bartender. Like, hey, do you have this size? They're there. If they want it, they grab it, take it to the register. And then we just have everything out. So really, we're putting the work in to make merch a big part of it. Because again, it's like, A, it's making us money, and B, people are paying to help us advertise. Like, there's nothing more powerful than someone else paying you to market your company. It's awesome.
It really is. And people want to be part of the brand. And if you got a cool brand, then they'll support your stuff. They'll tell their friends about it. And you really build lifelong customers that way. The rest is up to what's in the glass. And right. That's obviously an important piece of this.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. I'm not the beer science guy, but selling merch, helping grow your business, absolutely. Let's shift gears here a little bit. I want to kind of come back to content. And you guys do a great job with this. It's funny. It's relatable. Something you mentioned to me, Jacob, is how you kind of let the algorithm tell you what's working and let that fuel the decisions you make with content. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just seeing what's working across the board for businesses in general, not even in the brewing space, but just what's working for everyone right now. Seeing that and then consuming that and then taking that on as how can we make that ours? Because I'm a fan of doing all the trendy stuff, but if it doesn't translate back to our business and give us a monetary value, that's kind of where I'm at my, there's a friction point there with me and trending stuff. So if I see a trending video, how can we make it ours? And then I take it from there, because people are more than likely, making funny content. It doesn't have to alienate any portion of your audience. If it's funny, it's funny. People are going to like it. And half of those people that like your video, they're going to send them to their friends, their family members, and anyone else in between. And so then that's just helping spread the word, whether it's a goofy video of Jason dancing around the tap room or it's a picture of a new beer release. And so that's where, me and Jason both will send each other memes throughout the week, and it's like, how can we make this ours, and how can we do this but make it us? Because there's so many copy and pasting across the board in terms of content, like, oh, trending video, boom, we're doing that. Trending video, boom, we're doing that. That's where I'm trying to help us stand out, is we can make it ours with still doing that thing, but without it being a copy and paste.
Being a consumer of content is a way to be good at content.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think there's something to be said about, having people involved. And I think that sports teams do a really good job of showcasing obviously you're rooting for your athletes, right? That's what you want to see. I love Joe Burrow. I could really care if he's throwing a football or not. I just kind of want to look at him. And I think,
he's a good looking guy,
Yeah, he is.
Beautiful male.
I'm a homer a little bit, but I'm a big fan of the European champion Tottenham Hotspur. And their content on their social, like, they interview the players like in unique ways, like every day. And it's just like, how do we take some of that to our staff, because it's engaging, and then people come in and like connect the dots on who these people are, humanizes us, and also makes it fun and engaging. So I would also, we like rival sports teams. Don't even ask him about his. But just look at your sports team. I think that the European teams, I think the soccer teams in Europe do a far better job than any American professional sports teams, just from the content that I consume. So I would maybe start then. Again, Tottenham does a really good job with how they interview players, and their social is great.
It is. It's award winning. It's an award winning social marketing.
See, he doesn't even like them. But yeah, so that's where that was where I go for like people interaction sort of stuff too.
I think you're spot on with the people end of it, and I could relate in the sense that when we look at metrics, on social content or even ads and everything, it's like the stuff that has humans in it and like it feels more real and connectable, then like, man, that stuff always crushes it compared to graphics. And sometimes you get memes, sometimes you get stuff that goes off, but like the human end of it can't be overlooked. And you guys seem to be on the same page with that. So excellent stuff. Okay, so I got to transition to like one of the main things I want to talk to you about is duckpin bowling. We have to talk about duckpin bowling. What even is duckpin bowling, and why did you guys decide to make it part of the tap room?
So it's like normal bowling, except it's about half length lanes. All the pins are on strings. You use only one size ball, and you don't need shoes, which is the big seller for me. We didn't need to buy 1,000 pairs of shoes to do this thing.
Okay, no shoes. That's good.
Shoes, yes. So I worked at another bar that had it at their place, and I was like, "This is the dumbest thing ever. Why would you have this?" And then within the first month, I was like, this is going to be a part of what we do. And, I was working on setting up a brewery with them. That didn't work. So I just, took that it wasn't, they're not the first place to ever have duckpin bowling, but that was where I got the firsthand see how it really brings people together, the different groups that come in and play it, how great it is for kids to play. It's a lot harder than normal bowling to get a high score, but it's a lot easier than normal bowling to hit pins. So like kids don't need bumpers. They won't knock them all down all the time, but they'll hit some of them most of the time. And so it's from a family aspect, it's that thing that we have that brings people here.
And it's good for business, right? Like this is helping the tap room maintain revenue. I mean, talk about that a little bit. How is duckpin bowling?
We charge it's $6 a person a game. And so you have a group of 6 people come in, that's $36 just to bowl. And then, we don't track well enough how much they spend when they bowl. So if we're just looking at revenue from bowling, it's almost, we're just over 2 years, in a couple months it will have paid for itself.
Wow.
So it's pretty great. And on top of all the business it brings, in for, the food and drink that they have. And then it's also a great selling point for our event space, because it's located right next to our event space, and you get duckpin lanes with your event space rental. And so it adds a wrinkle to corporate holiday parties, where it's not just let's all get together and eat and drink. It's like, well, we got this other thing we can do.
Yeah. It's like axe throwing, it's such a popular thing now. People book the axe throwing lanes.
Yeah.
You guys got the bowling lanes, and it's fun and cool. And like you said, it's pretty approachable from a gameplay perspective. You don't have to be super good to still have a good time. And how long does a match last? How long is one
It
round?
really depends on how many people. If you have 2 people, it's like a half hour maybe.
Okay.
But it can go as fast or as slow as your group goes. And you don't have to worry about cutting your finger off with an axe.
Axe throwing can be dangerous. People are like, yeah, it's pretty safe. And then you huck it down there, it bounces back. I'm like, dude. But that has to be a fact. I mean, even if, it's 30 minutes to an hour for $6, it keeps them engaged. It's something that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges with breweries is like, sometimes you go, there's just not much to do. For a dude that just likes drinking beer, cool. I'll sit there for 3 hours and have a good time. But you're bringing the girlfriend, bringing the wife, you're bringing the kids. They need something to do, and that's the activity there, and it's unique. So it's a little.
And then we get into our weights. We'll have weights on Friday and Saturday night, so those people are sitting, eating dinner, drinking while they wait for a lane to get open. So that's business in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Time in seat, a very valuable metric for bars in general, and you guys have figured this out with Duckpin Bowl. And you guys do leagues and stuff too?
Yeah. Monday night, we haven't done one in a minute, but starting the fall, we'll get back at it.
Perfect for fall. It gets cold outside. You need something to do inside. Excellent. Well, guys, I mean, I definitely had to ask about Duckpin Bowl, and thank you for explaining this. It sounds like a super fun thing. Just a couple more, questions for you guys, and then I'll let you get back to your busy schedules. Tell me about Ohio. You guys are there. What's the beer scene like there these days?
Ohio's great. Been here my whole life. So, and then Cincinnati, I think Greater Cincinnati has like 60-ish breweries in it. And it's a, I would say it's one, it's often ranked like, Cincinnati within Ohio is, often ranked as like the top beer city in the country just based on volume drank. So I think that we're doing a pretty good job here in the city. And then, Columbus and Cleveland also have some really great breweries there too. And so I think Ohio is a really great, kind of underrated beer state for sure.
Excellent. I got to make it out there. We were in Indianapolis for CBC. Philadelphia's next year. One of these times, I'm gonna have to come through and.
I think there might be some place that CBC maybe happen in Ohio. I don't know.
Yeah, has it ever been there before? Do you know?
I don't think so.
That's a perfect spot. It's kind of almost Midwest-ish.
Yeah.
Super East Coast. So, if anybody's listeing from the BA, you should check out.
Bart, I know you listen to every one of these. Come on, man.
Nice. So let's wrap things up with some stuff you guys got going on. So is there anything going on at Wandering Monsters that you want the listeners to know about or check out?
Yeah, we've got a big beer event coming up August 23rd. It is called Confluence of Hops. We've got 6 breweries coming in to collaborate. We're making 4 different IPAs, 2 breweries an IPA, and then we'll have a mega blend of essentially all the hops that were used in the other 3 into one beer. So then that's a giant collaboration. But we'll have it back in our private event space. We have 2 separate times, so you can come in from 12 to 3 or 4:30 to 7. You get 8 drink tickets, and you get to hang out with the brewers from all the collaborating breweries. And then you get early access to the beers before anyone else gets an opportunity to try those. So that's our biggest thing coming up. And then, of course, we've got an end of summer 90s party coming up and all kinds of other stuff in between.
Yeah, we're also dabbling with our own contracted RTD called Nomad.
Oh, snap. You heard it first here.
Yeah, here. Our staff doesn't even know about this.
I'm glad you're saying it because I don't know if I had hours.
Well, it's also, we're working on timelines. I don't know exactly when it's going to be ready, so I didn't want to, talk to everyone before it's ready. But we sell a lot of High Noon in our tap room. And so I was like, what if we could just make our own and have it be cheaper? Because High Noon's not cheap.
Retail.
Also, there's a distributor issue happening in Cincinnati and Dayton. It's just this whole thing that is making it harder to get. So it's just like, let's just make our own. And so we found a co-packer distillery that's making and canning them for us. And so, that should be hopefully out by the time this airs, but we'll see what happens with that.
Dude, that's cool, man. If you can build it you know?
Yeah, and it's like something we didn't really talk about either is that we are literally we're a brew pub. So we have 2 restaurants that we send our beer to, and that's it. And then occasionally we'll do drops in other cities or drops around town, but we're just focused on here and making it be the best experience here. So
That's something I actually wanted to ask you, and I'm glad you brought this up. And I know we were getting close, but if you don't mind,
all the time in the world for you, Chris.
Something you guys told me at CBC was that you brew. I think that your phrasing for is like so that it can be enjoyed here. Tell us what you mean by that. Yeah, there it is. Made to be enjoyed here. I wrote it down. I had to dig in my notes here. A beer made to be enjoyed here. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's just I think we have such a fun space. We have almost 12,000 square feet of space. We have like a couple different lounges. We have a beer garden. We have an outdoor patio. We have the bowling alley. We have the private event space. So we kind of are giving you the guest all the different kind of experiences and different spaces they could possibly want. So we talk. There's study after study about COVID and people not wanting to go out or drinking. Not drinking as much. But it's like if we can get people here and enjoy things here, I think we can create fans of ours. So we make a lot of one-off stuff that we don't package, and it's just for here, and you got to come get it here. And I think that I'm really proud of the space that we built here, and I think that you'll enjoy your time here. If you hate kids, you probably won't. But if you're just like kids are fine, then you'll have a great time.
You guys have made the decision to have be okay with kids and
Yeah.
have food on site. And so, like you said, some breweries, like you said at the top of the episode, some breweries are kind of against that, but there's totally value for the 30s, 40s-year-old folks with kids and stuff to have a place for them. And you guys have leaned into that hard.
Yeah, it's the craft beer consumer is not backfilling. All the old beer lovers are getting older and having kids, and it's not backfilling with other people. So we're meeting our consumers where they are. It just like I said, just happens to be the same life cycle that I'm in. So it helps a little bit more to be able to identify with that and provide knowing what I want as a parent and seeing what other people might want as a parent. But it's like you got to meet the consumers where they are, and right now they're in their 30s and 40s having kids and wanting to go out and drink with them, not with them, but have a beer when they're with their kids. So that's really important for us.
Wouldn't you know it that listening to your audience is a marketing tactic here, right?
Yes.
Big time.
Well, guys, if anybody wants to contact you guys, ask you guys questions, or any collab or whatever, just to shoot the shit, is that cool? Can they reach out to you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the best way to do that? You guys jump on the
I
website?
would message Jacob directly so his audio doesn't break up.
You're never gonna live that down, man. It's
Yeah. No, I'm never living that down. Trust me, there's plenty of things, especially soccer related. But if they want to reach out to me personally, messaging the Instagram or the Facebook will be the best way to contact me. I'm always scrolling on our pages because I have to interact and consume our content. But of course, if you want to reach Jason, I would say probably email is the best way, which would be
Jason@wanderingmonstersbeer.com.
easy
And then you
peasy.
can also message DM the socials too.
There we go.
We're
Well,
kind of open book, so if anyone has any questions, I'd love to chat and talk beer.
I'll echo that. You guys have been such an open book and very friendly and approachable for me. And anybody who's listening and just wants to talk or wants advice or to share some stuff, reach out to the Jays here, and they're happy to share their knowledge. And I appreciate you guys' time. We'll put all the links and stuff like that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your insights.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
Yeah.
Of course.
Cheers.